How are you, Paul?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yourself?
Hanging in there. Been a little bit since we spoke. It's funny. I remember it was Ruby Sparks was the first time we spoke for anything, and
Okay.
the Knicks came up, and I feel like they haven't been good since then. So it seems
Wow.
I think it's us. I think we're the
That's
ones who are doing it.
funny. That's great. Well, because last year was fun too. Last year was fun. But yeah,
Agreed.
man, the other night and tonight, 7 p.m. East Coast.
There you go. Get it all out
Awesome.
early.
I like
Uh,
did you make your shirt or did you
no,
buy that?
that's Netflix swag, actually. So
Amazing.
I couldn't decide
Hilarious.
whether to do this one or Catherine Bigelow. I figured Jane might be more your style, actually,
Wow.
but either
Fantastic.
one. Um, I really got a kick out of. First of all, anytime you're the lead of something is always a plus for me. But I love the last handful of years. I not that the work is necessarily changing, but I feel like especially since you guys became parents, I feel like the things that you gravitate towards have a little bit more to say about like the world you're leaving for your kids. Is that sort of intentional, or is it just it's what I'm thinking about every day, so it's what I'm reading?
Wow. No, I don't think it is intentional. Perhaps it's unconscious. I don't know, but I also think that material meets you where you're at in your life. Do
Yeah,
you know? So like I'm also older now. So like I am, for example, doing the Fablemans was really important because it was the first time I think I was really playing a parent and as a parent. And it felt like a real growing moment for me. And then yes, you're right. This is not a world I've stepped into before, not just because it takes place in Russia, but really sort of a world of politics and power. So I think it's one of the things that I enjoy about the job and what keeps me going is sort of that search and evolution that occurs within and through the work.
oh yeah. I mean, even just the image of like you getting out of a Mercedes and being on these giant boats. It's a thing where you're just
Right.
like, I've never seen him do that before. And it's not a thing that's good or bad. It's just oh, that's a first time I'm noticing. And I think it
Yes.
speaks to what makes the character interesting because surrounded by real people and playing a sort of composite fictional character, it's interesting for that to still feel like an audience surrogate, even though you're like, I completely buy that this guy is, navigating these walls of power and we could never understand, but also it makes total sense kind of thing.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, no, that's funny. You're right. And I hadn't, and I felt that too in those moments because that's not me. That's not my bag. It's not my natural sort of,
Yeah.
energy is the be the guy stepping out of helicopters, and into a palatial space. But he did come from a more modest background. He came from the theater, right? And then sort of unfortunately found his way into reality television, which is much more cynical and sort of mercenary
Yeah.
form of art, and then into politics. So, in my point of view, it's really sort of a fall from grace, and unfortunate to see his talents rewarded
Yeah.
in the wrong space.
Okay. And in no way reflective of anyone else we can think of in the current state of the world. So complete fiction, which is good. Always great there.
Yes,
But no,
yes.
it's true. I remember we had a conversation once about trains and you saying I dated someone in Queens. I was in a long distance relationship because I was in Brooklyn. And that's way more, I think, where you gravitate towards naturally, right? As opposed to, well, I stepped off this giant $1 billion thing into another one. But again, I think beyond just the material, it's what I think is fun about acting, right? I can play someone a million miles away from who I am, but I can still find something there. I don't think you're like the Riddler, but I'm sure you're sitting there and going, I figured out what I can find in that guy that makes this a job I want to do for 6 months.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you're also poking at different parts of yourself. So like sometimes in life, something that turns us off, it that it actually means there's something there. Do you know what
Like,
I mean? So if
yeah,
I'm like, I hate, yachts, like are you actually sort of secretly attracted to the, do you know what I mean? Like there's always polarity within stuff. So I think as an actor, you're kind of just trying to poke into all parts of yourself and see what comes
oh,
up.
oh yeah, the thing that you're just like, I can't believe this person is doing that. There's somewhere where you're like, it's because I would have loved to have been offered that. Like, screw that guy. Like there, it's somewhere in you, and that is the fun of acting, right? You get paid to go to therapy in a way. Whatever's bothering you can target and go, that's what I want to think about and drill down on. And at the end of it, besides, money and getting told I did a good job, hopefully I don't have to worry about that anymore and I can move on to the next thing.
I think at its best, you are you get to take something with you, when you leave. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And especially as you do this for at this point most of your life, which is I know a weird thing to think about that you've been doing it longer than you haven't, but you start to realize like we said earlier, like, you don't necessarily plan to focus on different things, but as a just course of your own sanity, you don't necessarily want to do the same thing more than once, twice, and Hollywood is famous for giving you the same thing 10 times and being able to go, I've done that, or I don't want to do that, or you just think I can do that because you saw me in this, is I think what makes something like Wizard of the Kremlin or Dumb Money, such an exciting thing when it's like, oh, I've never seen him do that before. And the movie I see coming out this year and next year was like, he doesn't even look like something I've seen him look like before. Is I think not just exciting for the audiences, but exciting for you.
No, for sure. That I think the curiosity and just yeah, trying to. It's not keeping yourself entertained, but I do think that you're looking for. Sometimes it's a challenge. Sometimes you just need to go do something fun and do something different. And honestly, I never know what like I want. Meaning
Yeah.
like I didn't know, right, that I'd be interested in this. And then it swings back this way, and you're like, oh, okay, I get to go do something that's actually like a comedy now. And I didn't, oh, that's great. Okay, give me that. So hopefully you just get to keep, learning as you go.
Yeah. And the fun inherent of like getting to read different things and being at a different stage in your life where one saying no is a thing you could do. I love that, an actor's been around long enough can think back to when saying no to something was inconceivable, right? Wait, I'll turn down work. They'll never call me again. To
Yes.
like the first time you say no is kind of a great moment in your career where you're like, I'll be able to choose between two things and do the thing I like better or the thing that makes more sense. And in a way now be able to go, I can say no to something amazing because I want to do something else amazing, or I want to do something completely different, as opposed to I have to pick the best thing possible because what happens if I don't?
Yes. Or because you go, I just can't move my family to
Yeah.
X location for, like whatever the weird thing is. But I will say, yes, like you being able to say no is it's important, and you're very fortunate if you get to be able to do that, and it's really important to follow who you are and follow your gut. That said, like the experience of having gone on hundreds and hundreds of auditions, I don't think ever leaves you fully either.
Oh yeah, especially when it's a filmmaker you like, right? If you're like, oh, I love shocking, I love Spielberg or something like that. You're like, I really hope I get this. Like, I know it's not the same thing as when I was hoping to get LIE or like The Girl Next Door, but I'm a kid again who wants this role. Please pick me. And then years later, you think back to like how great it was to do a thing that like, would you have ever thought about doing Looper? I remember you talked once like, yeah, it'd be fun to kick ass one day. And like, it's not quite the same thing, but it's a role that you're like, one day I want to be in something where there's guns being shot at me. And then it happens and you go, that's the most me version of that movie I could have made. So amazing it happened that way.
Yeah, now that you mentioned, I don't, I do. There's a few frontiers, space, sci-fi being one of them, where I'm like, oh, okay, I haven't gotten to do the spaceship thing yet.
I
That'd be
think that'll
fun.
happen, and especially now that you can make your own movie. I'm just saying, you
There we
you
go.
and Zoe over dinner